remember when you were a little girl at school and all the kids were climbing that wall and you just couldn't make it, so you ran away? It was so painful.
Then the Klingons attacked. While my mom hid me in a cabinet, they killed my dad first. That was quick. They took longer with my mom.
The Ba'ul culled my people for centuries. My parents died at their hands.
When I was younger, my best friend got sick. She needed more help than our community's healers could give. And in the end, all I could do was watch her die. I felt powerless.
Captain, thank you for letting me do this.
I can tell it means a lot to you.
My town was wiped out by a hurricane when I was 5.
He was my boyfriend. We were both orphans, but we had each other. I really loved him.
Subject will not survive treatment protocol.
My dad. It wasn't well. It's a disconnect between him and reality. After my mom died, it's just the two of us, so...
Oh, damn.
I didn't know you were married.
Yep. My wife is Soyusian.
Where is she now?
She passed in the Klingon War.
When my wife died, there was an ensign, horribly burned. He begged me to let him go. I told him it was my duty to keep him alive. I kept replicating skin grafts. It took 11 days for him to die. After he finally did, that's when I saw that his eyes were the same color as hers.
You joined Starfleet because you weren't able to save your friend when you were 15.
For what it's worth, I lost my family young, too. To Hull clear-cut our forests, poisoned our seas, blackened our skies. I don't even know how many died. But I'm the only one of my family that made it.
You're a lethal viper with a slow-acting venom. That's how she took my kinfolk on Kelleran when they rose against her at the Twin Gates.
My mom had to get a job in the rubidium mines. You have any idea what that's like? She died when I was 14. I was left completely alone.
I know what it's like to lose somebody who means everything to you.
Presenting final entry before disruption.
What happened to our family?
They did not survive.
Nana?
All of a sudden, I realized, like, my mom is 900 years in the past. She's never gonna see me wear them.
I keep thinking of my mother, how she dreamed of diving into the waves, sinking her toes into the sand one day. Never got the chance.
When you were a little girl, at your mother's funeral, you put a small spaceship figurine in her casket. Because still, to this day, you think that if you fly out far enough, you'll find her.
I was going to attend the university in Nairobi. Both my parents taught there. About a week before I was due to start, they were killed in a shuttle accident. My older brother, too.
You know, the Gorn captured my family's colony ship and deposited us on one of their planetary nurseries. Do you know what I saw on the faces of so many of the people I loved as they died?
For a while there, the worst thing that had ever happened to me was a bunch of the other kids teasing.
That's what the other kids called me when they heard my name. Augment monster. Like you are.
My daughter. A year ago, she was diagnosed with side leukemia. You can't imagine what it's like to watch a child wither away.
Last week would have been his 18th birthday. Kestra still aches for him, but with every day, the ache fades a little bit more.
But seeing that happen must be a different ache for you.
When we buried our son, I watched the coffin being lowered into the ground, but it was so dark. It was like infinite emptiness.
Will you fight, Nessie?
My own father and I were estranged, and he died before we could come to terms with that. And I've regretted that all of my life. There are moments in time we wish we could travel back to. My mother hung herself here in this place. My mother was ill. That night, my father had locked her into her room for her own safety. I let her out, you see. If only I had left that door closed, she might have become an old woman. I used to imagine seeing her older, offering me a cup of tea, and asking for a chat.
There were only the two of us. I never knew my mother. She died when I was very young.
Do you know how old I was when I was abandoned? 5 years old. I learned how to stay alive, how to avoid the rape gangs.
Perhaps you would not judge me so harshly if you knew of my desperate youth. Wasted on the streets of Zimbalia.
Someone made that choice, and my father died.
I love you, Wesley.
Wesley's father died on a Starfleet mission. Lieutenant Worf also lost his parents.
They were killed in battle when I was 6. They killed my parents in an attack on Kitamar when they were supposed to be our allies. You have never seen death. Then look. And always remember.
Deanna,
Daddy?
I'm sorry I had to go away when you were so little. I didn't want to.
And I was led by a Cardassian into a room where my father was sitting. And he looked at me with eyes I'd never seen. And during the next 2 hours, as I was forced to watch, my father was tortured until he died.
Robert and Renee, they're burned to death in the fire. But now there'll be no more Picards.
Starfleet has been the only family I have ever needed.
You can't hide from the pain by being alone.
I was alone.
You are no longer alone.
Joining made us more than we could ever be alone.
Thank you, sir. Your message gave me hope.